I do believe we are live. So I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you. Yes, you, beloved and holy friend. And thank you for joining me again on another conscious evolution. Today we're going to consciously evolve in the metric, in the vector, in the direction of rage. Considering our rage, considering the feeling of rage, considering our anger and what that means, right? Specifically, at least in today's context, I want to project this quote into your brains. Be too angry to give up, right? Don't be too angry to not participate. Don't be too angry to love another. Be too angry to give up, right? Because anger is going to be a part of our lives, whether we like it or not. So, how can we use this anger in a way that's actually constructive? I do believe that anger is the sin I struggle with. If sin is a thing, right? The seven deadly sins, maybe gluttony as well, maybe some pride in there, but mostly rage, mostly wrath. So much anger, right? From a young age, I found myself being angry with pretty much everything. And then growing up, I've been trying to consider what I was so angry about. And the answer comes back, the state of things. This state of things is what's making me angry. But the state of things are always going to give you the opportunity to be angry, right? However, using that anger, using the rage that the state of things induces in a way that you actually make real change, I feel is going to be the way we actually save this world. We shouldn't deny our anger. We should use it like fuel, like power. Let me. I almost heard myself speak. That would have been an atrocity. let me see who's here. Hey, Dan. It's nice to see you. Joy Viva's here too, and Shan, and Jovan saying ahoy, mateys. Even Nancy. It's nice having you, Fred. Sending you lovin's. Shell saying love is true, and I love each and every one of you. I even love Nick. Nick? Is Nick back? I remember Nick, but I'm spacing right now. Rage was the lab monkeys. In 28 days later were infected with. Rage was what the lab monkeys in 28 days later were infected with. A movie about zombie monkeys. Were they infected with rage? I don't know if I got infected with rage. Now you're making me question a whole other slew of things. Was I infected with rage? Or did rage come to me? Hey, Maxine, it's nice having you. Melt has Nick PTSD. I'm noticing that there is like this void in my neurons where they just kind of deleted all of the information. After you're talking about your childhood during a recent stream, no wonder about the anger. Yeah, I mean, I feel all of us have things to be angry about. I added some cinnamon to my coffee today. At first, I was angry about it. I was like, I heard online or something that people put cinnamon in their coffee, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm people. I could also put cinnamon in my coffee. And then I take my first sip, and surprise, surprise, it tastes like cinnamon, and I'm like, my coffee is no longer coffee. Now it's cinnamon then coffee. It's like hits you with cinnamon. I had like a whole spice mix. I think it has nutmeg, cinnamon, and maybe coriander or something in it. But it's spice first, then coffee, and I was like, I'm gonna bamboozle. I have some bits and pieces I've been reveling over, and had this written in my phone notes. Anger? Tell us about it. Tell us about it, please. Tell us everything. Tell us how you've been angry and how you've been dealing with it. She says, feels like the universe, as a teacher, is using a straw to shoot paper spit wads into my face while I try to concentrate on meditation. I've been mindful of how easy it can be to react to discontentment. How about that as a definition for anger? Thank you. Thank you, Jovan. That anger arises with discontentment. Or maybe anger is the reaction to discontent. That context would contented with what is be the antidote to our anger. Again, I don't think we need an antidote for our anger. I feel like it's like a joke to consider that even being a possibility. Not saying you're a joke for thinking you can antidote your anger, but thinking in the context of, oh, I need to find some sort of solution to this anger I'm feeling. Right. I don't think that is the solution. I think we just have to figure out how to use it. How do we use this rage, this how do we use it? Right? And I believe the best way to use it is to try and change things. Whatever is making you angry, whatever you feel discontented with, don't lose your shit because you're discontented. Start planning. Start meticulously thinking about how you can change said situation. So maybe change. Change will be the intention, right? Change in ourselves with how it is we deal with our anger, with how we apply our anger. Change. Chachanje. And then runes. Okay. The one that looks like a P first. Accept it. The one that looks like the masculine. The one that looks like the feminine. And then anger. Okay. I can't, but it felt like the right one. Let me see. I think I'm almost already. Letting my mind go into the trip of when it's appropriate to express dissatisfaction and when it's more appropriate to hold the tongue. Yeah, maybe the question should be, if you're feeling this place of anger arising, is me sharing this anger I feel right now in this moment going to actually bring about real change? Or is it just going to be another fight? Right? That's you're beautifully contributing to today's fractal. Thank you, Jovan, for sharing your part of the process. I feel like I'm really resonating with what you're saying. The irony, says Shell, is that I spend months off work and I eat mushrooms to ameliorate my rage, and here we are. My therapist said that I have the rage of a lifetime. Rage is the energy of passion. Rage is, I think, the first emotion I ever felt. Or maybe the first emotion I ever felt comfortable in, right? And I think about it a lot. Today I was thinking about anger. I wasn't particularly angry. I was just thinking about anger. I was thinking about my anger. I was thinking about this context. Christian has the 7 deadly sins tattooed on his back. And it symbolizes, and I didn't think about it this way, but I said it to him during our mushroom trip together. I told him it's almost like literally the 7 deadly sins is actively behind you and you are always walking away from them, right? With them being on his back. And he was like, shit. Yeah, exactly. And then we had this conversation about which of the sins we think we're most susceptible to. And it came out, of myself that rage is the sin I'm most susceptible to. And to see this rage, to see the thing that you feel you're struggling with, right? The sin you feel you're struggling with, not as something evil, something to be defeated, but something to be integrated, right? To realize that you have these habits, maybe, right? I don't even know if you can call them habits. ways of being. You have these ways of being. And then in noticing these ways of being, realizing certain ways of being feel better, serve you more than others. But that doesn't mean you just can't stop having those ways of being as a part of you. So befriending my rage, I try to use it in the context of motivation. No, not the right word. Preservation. No? Perseverance? That's the one. Perseverance. To be able to continue going, to be too angry to give up, right? What we started the stream with. Be too angry to give up, right? And this thing I'm talking about not giving up on is basically the future we know we deserve. Don't give up. Be too angry, right? If there's like this doomer, like, and I do actually get angry at people that go into doomerism, but they're like, oh yeah, it's too late. The world is fucked. You know, what's the point even? I get angry at them. I'm like, no, I'll die before I give up and just roll over. This story is not over, dear friend. Get angry at people that, want to limit your expression, want to tell you that your life is already over, right? Get angry at that, if anything. People melt. Actually, talking about thank you again, Nancy, for seeing me, for sending love to your friend. Melt just made pumpkin spice coffee. White girls everywhere, upset with his description. Come at me, white girls. Come on. I agree with all of the stuff about anger, Melt. Thank you, Nancy. I'm happy to share these things with you, friends. Right, consciously evolving, trying to understand ourselves through different lenses, because we talk about our lot in these streams. We've had so many different conversations. It's kind of melty in my brain. And all of it is trying to come at love from different perspectives, right? How can we come at love from the perspective of anger? And then today's, centering thought of trying to be too angry to give up, being so loving that the idea of giving up is what makes you angry, right? And then because you get angry at this idea of giving up, you don't. You're like, hell no, I'm not going to give up. That ain't going to happen. There are so many options in this world, an actual infinite amount of options. But the option of giving up is not what I'm going to be taking. Change as the inside intention. Gentle, right? If we're going to use the power of anger, we're going to need some power of gentleness as well. To gently coerce ourselves into the change we want to see. She said, it's a sign of health and aliveness, but I should do the raging itself in private. Yeah, other people experiencing our rage usually isn't fun, right? Because it can be scary. Other people can want to help you. Other people can have their own stories, their own traumas attached to seeing rage like that. So yeah, experiencing your rage internally and then trying to transmute that energy into something positive, in my mind, is probably the best course of action. I was starting to talk about the topic of anger coming up in my mind and how it was between that and being the everything, something like that. But then I come into yoga and I see that one of the dogs decided to rip a cushion apart that they sleep on. And at first I feel anger. I feel a sense of rage. Why destroy something, animal? Why destroy this thing? Have ye no respect? I ask myself, I talk to myself about chillax, oh, it's just an animal. That's in their nature. They don't know how to respect things. And I'm like, bro, that's not true. They do have respect for one another. But then I realized that I'm not gonna know which dog or which cat did it, and I can't go around, punishing all of them. So the only course of action for me is to use my anger differently, to go into the yoga and to create this topic, right? That this is an expression of anger right now, technically. And I didn't want to smoke today. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm smoking today because reason. I also ate something today, which is making me feel very in the earth, in my body right now, in the part of me that can experience anger. If you're wondering what those sounds are, these two freaking shenanigans machines are shenaniganizing. Let me read some more comments. As a person who lives in a state of anger, I'm listening eagerly to all of you who might have it more figured out than me. Oh, dear friend, Sam, I don't think any of us have it figured out, but do share with us what has worked for you, right? Like this should be a collective process of learning. All of us can get better at managing our anger and actually transmuting that energy. And it's funny to me how a part of me feels like there is an energy of anger because of them making the sounds they're making. Even though I've heard those sounds so many times before, right? And I've had other days where this exact experience inspires me with, oh, that's so cute. Right, that's so cute. Yada, 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 I tell myself. And yet, being faced with the exact same circumstances, being the exact same person, at least in theory, there are different reactions. Some of them that can be angry. It doesn't change the way I react, right? It's almost like I think of it like evidence. The way you react to things is evidence of your state of being. And you will be angry sometimes. But angry isn't necessarily your state of being. Your state of being is awareness. And you can find anger within the things you are aware of. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have power over it, right? Or at least you don't have power over the perception itself, but you have power over your actions. You don't have power over whether or not you get angry. At least I don't think so. But you have power over how you react, right? How that anger influences you if you go out and hurt another because you feel angry. And this is the funny thing. We talked yesterday about trying to communicate, right? Trying to communicate the depth of our being to another person and how that's impossible. But when we communicate, we try to make others feel what we feel, right? The experience we have inside, be it rage, can try to be communicated through perpetuating it. In other words, oh, I'm angry. I'm gonna hurt this person, be it emotionally, be it physically, be it financially, even. And then they're gonna feel angry at me as well, right? Then maybe they'll understand what I'm going through. But that just leaves us all a little bit more angry, doesn't it? I don't want that. By the way, the lunar eclipse is in a few hours. It's completely overcast right now. I might not even get to see the full moon. I wouldn't be surprised. I learned rage from my parents. I hate it. It's like a poison. Yeah, me too. My mom and my dad are also pretty rageful individuals. I got screamed at a lot as a child, but I also didn't listen. So my mom felt the only way she could be heard was if she screamed at me. Love, Joe. I think I missed a few. Dan, it's nice having you here as well, Brother Bear. I got a whole lot of anger, Lamau, enough to go around, but it has its uses. Use it well, that's the thing we have to do. I've been walking up and down the hill in front of my house. I feel satisfied to let off the steam. It's sunny out, that helps. Makes me happy to hear that. Jovan, sending you love as well. I was running the other day, and there's this hill, and it was killing me getting up that. So I got angry at the hill and got to the top. I didn't break my rhythm in my run. It was tight. Yeah, using that anger, being like, oh yeah, hill, You think you can win against me? Hell no. I'm not giving up. Love Joe. What I tell myself is that my anger, the fact that I have it, is not my fault. Also echoing the same sentiment. Sick. I inherited my short fuse from my father. What I do when I get lit on me, what I do when it gets lit is on me, but it's not my fault that I have it. How about that, Sam? How about that? The fact that we came to the exact same conclusion, in conversation makes me so happy to see you echoing the same. Going to put out what my therapist says to me, and that is, where do you feel it? In this case, the anger in your body. Where do I feel the anger? I feel the anger in my face, actually. Is that weird? In my face and in my fists. That's where I feel most of my anger. Where if I notice myself getting angry, I'll usually contract my fists. I haven't struck a person, and I don't necessarily know if I want to, but I do believe I'm getting strong enough to be capable of rage. Right. I feel like that's maybe the thing as well. Barking at nothing again. Gentle change. Gentle change. I will change gently. I will change into a more gentle version of myself. Doesn't mean I'm incapable of feeling anger. Just means I'm going to react differently. Poison. It hurts you a lot, unfortunately. That rage we feel inside. I share a distant Margarita with you. By the way, Lunar Eclipse, thank you. Yes, Nancy, strong emotions. We don't let go. Get stored in the body if we don't address them, and eventually develops into sickness and diseases. Yeah. Anger, the emotion of anger, right? The experience of anger usually is pretty fleeting. You've probably noticed that with yourself, that in a moment where you and another person are viscerally angry at one another, right? And there is a sense of contentment of the situation. There can be a lot of animosity, a lot of in that situation. But then enough time passes, and it's almost like whatever you fought about, whatever you were angry about, kind of makes less sense. It's a little bit lost almost. Sometimes you forget completely what you were angry about even. But if we hold on to that feeling, right? If we try to sustain that feeling of rage and anger and discontentment and dissatisfaction with whatever was said or what happened, I feel that's where we start to tune ourselves into a frequency that is not worthy. Because in that case, you are just reminiscing on something that already happened, and there is no change to be had, unfortunately. But B, stop it. The anger. Like it makes me angry that she barks at nothing. It really makes me angry, right? Like I would, drop down to my knees and worship her tiny little soul if she saved our lives because she barked at something that was dangerous. But like staring into nothingness, right? And then, why would you do that? There we go. She chillaxed again. Realized I was talking about her probably. Sounds like quite a few friends inherited their rage from their family. So it seems they were infected with their rage. It does seem that way, right? And I think of it from a perspective of practice. That all of the emotions we feel, we've almost had practice to feel them. And the more we practice in feeling these things, the better we get at it, right? So if we grow up in a household where rage as an emotion is something that is tolerated, something that is over and over displayed, it becomes normalized in our minds where that rageful reaction is appropriate, right? That's at least the way that I'm imagining. It's like we see like, when dissatisfaction, when disagreement, then rage, right? It's like the problem that we're trying to solve or how we're supposed to integrate into this world. If we keep seeing, the ones we look up to, our actual parents, the ones that basically make up our entire world, react with rage when things are not the way they want them to be, then it makes sense that we should react that way as well. To notice that anger, to be like, okay, clearly this situation makes me angry, right? And unfortunately, the masculine part of me likes to solve problems. These freaking critters are so distracting, right? The masculine wants to solve problems, wants to figure out a way to make something not be angry. Whatever is making angry, it should be changed so that less angry be made. But unfortunately, sometimes we can't stop the things that make us angry, right? And the thing for me especially is the temporality of how things make us angry sometimes. For instance, like a loved one chewing loudly, right? Just that. We're like sitting in a quiet space. We're maybe thinking about a lot of things. There's maybe like a certain lack of peace in our hearts in that moment. And then just hearing the suddenly rage. Suddenly, there's so much rage just for this person making chewing sounds, right? And I'm thinking about that from this perspective of what are we supposed to do in that moment? And this is something beautiful that I've noticed when I spend time with Christian, is when we come into that space of rage, we usually just stay quiet. You see, that's what's happening. Suddenly, they go from playing to barking at absolutely nothing. Oh, yes. Oh, we're barking now. Oh, we're now barking at something. So, yeah, right? I can feel the rage I feel. I could be like, what the fuck are you barking at? But I can be like, they're barking at nothing again. Okay, I guess this is the reality of my situation. Instead of wanting for things to be differently, I can accept that they are this way. And then again, right, to leave it at that. Because the masculine part of us, the part of us that's still observing the thing that's enraging us, wants to make a plan for change to be, right? Wants to do something to ensure that it doesn't continue happening. It's telling me to discipline her, tell her to stop, right? Things about technology that can administer a little voice in her ear saying, hey, shut the fuck up. Oh goodness, hey, stop doing that. Please don't. And or a collar that has a camera attached to it so that I can see the dog's perspective, right? Or having dogs that have no barking vocal cords. I don't know if that's evil. I don't know if it's evil. I don't think so. No barking vocal cords, but those no bark vocal cords are connected to a piece of technology that sends a notification to your phone if your dog is barking at something. And so you can turn the notification off if you can see through the little collar camera that there's nothing to bark at. Am I insane? You see, like this is unironically the kind of mindset I'm going through to try and keep myself sane when the dogs start barking. I'm like, there has to be some sort of solution. I need to not lose my shit and think about solutions instead. And I don't know if that's right. That's the joke. That's the thing I'm trying to consciously evolve within myself as well. Is I don't know if it's right to want to problem solve, but I think trying to problem solve when you're enraged is better than acting in that rage. So maybe it should be like there's three options, right? There's the neutral option of just acceptance, just quiet acceptance. Say nothing, do nothing, which can work, which can keep you very neutral in a large part. Then there is the non-acceptance, the going out of your way to fix the problem, screaming at Eva to stop or whatever, right? And there is that part of me. I can feel it. It's like always an option. And then there's a problem with me that tries to solve the problem, right? The third option. But then again, there's a part of me that gets angry that the third option cannot be realized in this exact moment, where it's like, yeah, you solved the problem potentially in your mind, but now having the technology, having the reach, having the finances to actually realize these things, you can't. And then do I get angry at that? And then again, the whole three things come up. Do I rage about it? And you can do that inside your own head as well, right? Most of our rage happens inside our own heads, where we're like, how dare, how, right? Or this acceptance of like, yeah, this is how it is. Or there's the part of us that goes out of our way to try and fix the problem. And then the fixing of the problems comes with more problems, more things to be angry about. And we find ourselves caught in a loop. And there's this part of me that acknowledges that the acceptance path is the one that's going to allow me the most peace. But there's this other part of me that realizes accepting things only is also going to allow for a lot of stagnation, right? Lack of movement, like a body of water standing still and losing its luster. Energy needs to flow. So maybe there is some balance there. I'm trying to imagine it from a natural perspective of beavers building dams. And there is still sometimes water that goes over and trickles down. So there's still some movement, but there's also some acceptance, some holding of the moment. And then I'm imagining sun as a rageful energy, as a coming at you always, almost like the evaporation of this water, this energy we have sometimes. Or maybe when you rage, when you lean into the anger and you make a whole scene out of it, be it verbally, be it dramatically, right, to yourself and how victimized you are in that moment, it's almost like evaporating your energy, where if you try and channel it towards something meaningful, towards growth, you have flow for that rage to go, right, in a positive direction. When you hold it, that rage can sometimes become bubbled up inside yourself, right? And we all know that happens as well. If someone keeps doing something that enrages us and we just accept and sit in that stillness, it's almost like it becomes piled up and becomes heavier and heavier. But then when we react negatively and we go out of our way to expend our energy from a perspective of lack, anger, fear, separation, we are not the same, so because we are not the same, I have this vector to attack you with. Then we evaporate energy, we lose it instead of bottling it up or choosing a direction with it. Man, the implications of accepting that as an idea is pretty hard, right? Because a lot of us probably have things that we're angry about with family members. And then if we apply the same kind of thinking, there's an acceptance, which a lot of us have to do. There's just no option other than that. Acceptance of our family situations and the things we've been through. Then there is rage, right? Complaining. And that can be good as well, right? Sometimes we have to evaporate some of that energy because there's so much of it. And then there is this vector of trying to do something about it, right? Trying to do something about it within the self when it comes to the internal narrative of what you say to yourself about the situation in hindsight. And then there's also the trying to fix it, right? And I don't like the word fix in this context, but trying to see change and how it can feel like this river of energy you are contributing to wanting to see change happen is being walled off, right? It's like there is still this flow of energy that you're trying to send out into the world, but it's hitting a wall. It's not becoming a part of the land, right? That is this other person, that is an expression of the earth. What are you friends feeling? You like this line of thinking? It's kind of tripping me out right now. I feel like I'm so far behind on comments as well. I see you, Tim, and Joe Schmo. It's nice having you friends here as well. Let me continue reading. I have so much to say about this topic. I don't want to fill the entire stream, so I think I'll write about it in a post in the Discord. Rage has been a central focus of my life since January. Took me long enough to sync up with you, Shell. Rage has been a big part of my life, the whole of my life. Eva, waarvoor blaf jy? She's coming back now. That wasn't screaming, was it? That was the most gentle screaming I've ever done. Super gentle screaming. I feel it. Rage is a big part of my life. Hey, Luke, it's nice having you. Rage has been a big part of my life. I feel like it made me who I am. Like, I use rage when I exercise. I use rage when I was using rage for my fast these last 5 days, where I was like, I am angry at the version of myself that doesn't care about me, right? And then I'm like, hell no, version of me that doesn't care about me, ain't got no seat, oh, ain't got no control. We must keep trying. If we are ever to improve and evolve in our higher minded class of humanness, it's true, dude. Emotions are valuable lessons on the road. It's such a real, right? When it comes to how we assign what's real to this world, emotions are one of those things that are more real than reality almost, right? What you feel about things becomes your reality, as that expression. Exactly, Joe. I haven't learned a lot about reassigning it, but I know not to point it at people I care about. It's good advice. My therapist told me not to rein in my rage, but to take it to my car and let it out there. She said it was to be let out. It has to be let out, but it cannot be let out towards people. Yeah. People are sensitive, right? Especially sensitive to something as powerful as rage. Is Isaac here? Wow! Skabow! Skabow! It's nice having you, Isaac. We've been talking about you, sending you love, dude. You're looking good, friends. Thank you for joining us, dude. It's nice having you here as always. I'm gonna smoke my joint of gentle change. That's our intention. Gentle change. Ooh. So gentle. It's not about what happened or how much it hurt in the past. It's about your current ability to overcome that moment from a place of presence, the here and now, and how can I adjust my thoughts? Exactly, right? Because none of us are trying to deny the fact that you have reason to be angry, right? If we consider our entire lives, all of us have ample reason to be angry. This is undeniable. But noticing, as Joe Schmo beautifully said, in this moment, is there something making you angry, right? Justly making you angry. And then we can be like, yeah, Mel, people are starving right now. People are, dying because they cannot afford the medicine, and the medicine is being charged by people who can afford to live in yachts, to be on yachts, Like, I know. But in this moment, to your personal person, are you being enraged? No, I'm still getting yeses. I agree. I agree. Me too. Me too. Because I feel like this rage we feel, right? If we're gonna consider it, as we said previously in stream, almost like a disease. It's almost like the current symptom that is capitalism, that is the marginalization of people, that is stereotyping, that is, inequality, that is suffering, right, is going to have the disease that is rage throughout all of us right now. But then we have to, again, as our friends beautifully said, realize that in this moment, directing that rage towards our loved ones, right? The people that we love, not the people that we are angry at, the people that we are love, is going to be a surefire way to ruin both of your lives, right? Ruin your life by destroying your relationship with the other person, and then ruin their life by devoiding them of a relationship with you that's healthy. And I do believe we can ruin each other's lives by not loving one another, right? And I think of it from a perspective of my dad. I don't think he doesn't love me. Yesterday, this was actually kind of nice. He smoked a little bit of a joint with me, and he said to me, "You have like 90% of the truth," he says to me. I'm like, "Okay, thank you." Thank you. I'll accept that, I guess. Like I'm missing 10% apparently, but getting 90% for anything. That's cell phone back, right? And there was no rage, kind of like feeling into that moment, and there was an acceptance, a realizing that I might not be on the wrong path, and I could see it in him. I could really see it in him. But, and here's the but, right? Him still believing that I'm 10% wrong can cause me a certain sense of rage, because I feel like there is a part of our relationship that I am not worthy of, right? A level of love in that relationship that I am not worthy of. And that can be very detrimental to a person's mental health, especially to your children's, right? If your children sees this aspect of rage block you from loving them the way they deserve to be loved, right? Unequivocally, unconditionally, because we all do make mistakes. Oh goodness. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to get angry. It's not okay to keep making mistakes. It's not okay to stay angry, right? Like we try to sometimes draw very definitive lines in our minds of what's right and what's wrong, right? And I've been trying to think of it as a gray area more and more so, that there is no such thing as wrong. And hear me out. There is only knowing intrinsically in a moment that what you're doing is wrong, and then continuing to do that thing, right? That, in my mind, is more wrong than thinking about ourselves in the past, thinking about a single occurrence of our anger getting out of hand, for example, and then painting a picture of ourselves of like, oh yeah, I'm a bad person because I did this bad thing, right? Bad, in my mind, again, is if you continue to do this thing you convince yourself of you're a bad person of, and then you perpetuate that cycle, giving yourself more evidence to convince yourself that you're a bad person. I'm missing comments, but I'm coming for them. I found my anger and rage is usually focused on someone I refuse to forgive for a perceived transgression. So I really like that you're sharing those words, Tim, because I'm trying to apply it to me being angry sometimes at the collective, right? Almost seeing all of humanity as a person, and then refusing to forgive this person because of the perceived transgression. Rob the Universe, a rapper, like a philosophical rapper artist. Go check him out. Love you, Rob. If you're seeing this in the future, I love you. Oh, love you. Love, love, love. I was listening to his music yesterday, exercising, and I was just thinking to myself, what would Rob think seeing me do this right now, listening to his music, basically tripping out about his lyrics. And one of the lyrics he says that kind of like causes a certain sense in yourself is, if humanity was a person, would you trust them with your kids? Right? And that's a loaded question. I feel if all of humanity got collected into one being, I honestly believe there's going to be more love in that being than there is going to be rage. I do believe this, but it's still an important thing to consider because you are contributing actively to that humanity right now, right? And it's a joke almost. It's actually like a little bit of a joke where the part of humanity that I'm angry at is the anger part. This that's the part of humanity I'm angry at, and that's the part of humanity that it makes me feel anger, right? Right? So I'm like, this is, am I a hypocrite? Should I stop being angry? Maybe that could be one vector. And then I notice again that it's not so simple. It's just like, I'm just gonna not be angry, actually. Oh, so easy peasy. I feel like we can just not be reactive. We could not be reactive, but we cannot just not be angry. Gentle change. Anger management classes changed my life. Soon I was taught that the anger is a secondary emotion that covers up the real emotion you're feeling. That's normally hurt. Oh, yes. I was able to have much more control. Yeah, I can imagine. You're touching on a part of me that I almost forgot about, Maxine. The part of me that would go into crying, and then as soon as I realized I was crying, I would instantly transmute that energy into visceral rage. Because I was like, oh, wait a second, I'm crying right now? Crying is weak. I'm not weak. I'm a strong man. I am angry. I'm not sad. I'm angry. And it's immature in that way. It's like us almost believing ourselves too cool to be sad, right? What am I supposed to be sad about? You think I care about your hurtful words? I do. I do. With that said, Sam, I wonder if it's their fault. Either they have that rage. I've recently thought about when it comes to my mom, it made it much easier to forgive her and let go. My mom also deals with a lot of rage. The reactivity thing is really coming to me. Feel the rage, don't react to it. All right. See the rage is like a stalemate. You should be like looking into it. Just standing there being like, oh man, the acceptance thing. I feel it building up. I guess maybe, right? Allowing yourself that moment of just silence. Just like a gap, like a buffer, where you really get to be like, and then start speaking. Can help. It definitely can help because then you're not reacting. Then you're responding actually. Because then you actually spend some time to let the emotion, the peak of the emotion kind of like subside, and then you can share from a more balanced perspective again. Unconditional forgiveness is the key. And it's not easy, right? It's like saying it is like, oh yeah, like you're having troubles? How about you try unconditionally forgiving? Oh, the energy companies are trying to sap us from more resources again this year. How about you unapologetically forgive? Anger. Get angry for someone telling you to try forgiveness, right? Double whammy. Joy V, if I get the chance to rage appropriately at someone in the moment, I definitely would. But my emotions are outsized for the occasion, and I can have hurt innocent people. Yes, right? For instance, you might have, like, maybe, so I think of it from this perspective. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation. It takes a moment to destroy it. Right? That is like one of the weird parts of this reality. That if you have like this whole lifetime of trying to be calm, right? And maybe there's like a whole slew of things, one after another, adding to your load, this heaviness that you feel you're carrying, that can be your life sometimes. And then someone else comes and adds, more rocks in that moment. They can't see all of this stuff you're carrying, but they might add to the amount of stuff you're carrying. And in that moment, you collapse, all right? You snap. And then it can be all of that weight, right? Rolling onto this person like an avalanche. And you can inevitably hurt them because they don't know how much weight there is behind the things that you're angry about. And they might not intentionally try to hurt you, but things still hurt even if people aren't intentional about it. It's a good one to remember. Joel's here too. I feel like I'm so far behind. I'm gonna read more comments. I love you, friends. Unconditional forgiveness. Nah, I love how JV was the first person who goes like, wait a second, starts getting angry. Nah. It's a long way from being able to display myself as someone I can control. Someone who can control these things. But I am trying to adjust the fractal in every moment, trying. And that trying, right? That's wanting to change and realizing that that change doesn't have to be traumatic. We have a card like that. The change doesn't have to be traumatic. You don't have to traumatize yourself with the amount of change that you want to experience. It can be gentle. It can be like a day by day, little by little, trying by trying to get better. Reduce the amount of reactivity to our anger. My friend told me that he didn't believe forgiveness was real, and it made me angry. Yeah, no, you cannot forgive someone. It's not real. Look at how those two walked side by side. Isn't that cute? Oh, what a grudge show, neither agree. Exactly. You really have me thinking about a lot in a good way. I think you're saying is actually kind of healthy because I need to direct some of my rage in writing towards my mother. Right. They could take some time to direct that energy in that way. It's gonna help definitely. Spice in chat. Love, 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 love. My grandmother was someone who I thought always practiced unconditional love. Rest in peace. She teached you a lot in that case, dude. That's beautiful. Being able to see a note of that in the world is, I think, something very rare for a lot of people. I know, right, Shan? It is like I threw it into the wind and the wind blew it back at my face. I also have Viking blood, Sam. I think it all has been passed on for generations and we are now able to see and put it to a stop. See it and give it an outlet, right? Be like, you have all of this momentum that is rage, that is all of this baggage that's come from your life building up to this moment. Use it here, right? Use it here. Make art with it. Write poetry. Journal, even. Start building something, even if it's a sandcastle, right? Angrily be like, just freaking watch the sea water wash over your sandcastle. Kick the sand. Let it out. Right? Notice how that energy isn't helpful. And then move on. So much in the space. Like I can feel it. I'm singing. If a dagger could be a small little jet flame that had successive layers of different colors. Yeah, don't judge if it's heavy or shallow. We can only go a few minutes without breathing. So imagine how vital it is to our well-being. Anger is a low vibration level. So you are correct. Feel you melt. Harvey does the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lesson to be learned there as well, right? They're teaching us how to deal with our anger. They do show us unconditional love, right? Our animals do, in large part, show us unconditional love. So them barking is like one of those tests for us of like, well, I've shown you what unconditional love means, right? Like if you start barking, metaphorically speaking, right, your dogs are probably not gonna tell you to stop. That's how much they love you, right? So there is lessons there, always so much lessons. It's hard to be angry watching the dogs frolic. Good. My mom's jaw clicks. When she eats, it kills me, you see. Anger is like a rocket fuel. It's very powerful, but hard to harness. As a result, rocket scientists study for decades to build a vessel for the fuel. But now we have satellites and space travel. Not even just a vessel for the fuel, but what I'm thinking about right now, Dan, and I feel you resonate with this, is the nozzle, right? The nozzle, the shape of the cone, the way it like expands, the geometry of that whole situation is very important. And I'm trying to apply that to our lives, where if our rage is like a rocket's fuel, the structures we build in our minds to use that rage is like the nozzle, right? It can be an explosion in your mind and you can lose your shit every time, or you can learn how to build a nozzle and actually channel that energy so it becomes thrust, it becomes energy, it adds to your momentum instead of taking away from it. Thank you, Dan. More fractals in my brain, dude. I like it. The licking and barking triggers me as well. Here's a fun fact. I'm in my late 30s, and for my entire life, I never felt toxic or traumatized in my approach to life. I had a foundation of being stoic and not revealing my heart. I utilized that skill to start doing self reflection and had to remove myself from myself to see myself. And what I saw broke my unseen heart. So, I'm on a healthier path and I'm trying to explain to others about showing them, but helping them find themselves as well. I'm still looking for myself. I grow healthier each day and I continue to search for a better way to show me to myself. And the beautiful part of it is you show yourself to yourself by showing up as yourself every day, right? And the joke of that is you'll never get to know the full version of yourself in the same way that fire doesn't burn itself, water doesn't drown itself, a knife cannot cut itself. It's you, like the infinite spear, slicing through reality. It's an infinite exploring of what the myself means, right? The ultimate self is the thing that you're exploring. And then from that ultimate self perspective, you have divinity encoded. And then you can notice how you want to see more divine things in your life, learning to find more divinity as the self for yourself, right? That that fractal that you're in right now. Was it a golden teacher jumping? So much love, some aromatic therapy. So I'm healthier. All right, thank you for everyone. I know I should be excited when the food I cook is scarfed down, but giant unchewed bits drives me up the wall. And I know it's me that needs to go on that. My teeth just clench. I'm thinking about it from the perspective of an animal right now, Jovan. I don't know if you're talking about a loved one or a dog, but it's also something that makes me angry about our dogs, right? Watching the dogs, as you mentioned, just like inhale the food, right? Like just like whole unchewed bits, as you said. And I think it's again a matter of bias, where we know that if our doggos actually just chewed the piece of meat that they were given, they would have like a 10-minute, experience just chewing that piece of meat into bits, getting to taste that experience. But they just swallow the whole of it whole, right? If they can swallow it whole, they would like to. Like a whole chicken breast swallowed whole wouldn't be a problem. And we eat like you can if you want to, eat like a couple of minutes on a chicken breast. I mind. Yeah, I know, right? And why do we get angry at stuff like that? It's because we think that that's wrong, because we want to believe we're right. The way we do things are right. Doggos. Maybe for them, getting the food inside of their bodies as fast as possible is the thing that triggers the most dopamine. Thinking of it from a perspective of living as a pack animal and you eating on the same corpse with a bunch of your fellow doggos, eating as fast as possible and swallowing big as possible pieces as fast as you can, probably was the best way in your brain to both stay fed, and also your brain was probably like, yeah, good job, you're doing a good job. So in their minds, eating food as fast as possible is probably right, right? It's probably right for them. But at the same time, when they watch you eat for like 20 minutes, they just sit there. They just sit there and watch. I want to remove myself from the room when eating sounds get too overwhelming. Gotta get, yeah, I gotta go urgently. Same actually. I'm also that way. I'm like, bro, I'm like, no, I can't. Remember the Joker said, they think that we'll just sit there and take it like good little boys. That we won't werewolf and go wild, hit deep. Yeah, there's people out there who love to test you. Sometimes we test ourselves like that, even. Right? We are those people sometimes. Little vague, Joe. Friendship, so much love. It's dangerous and destructive. I feel like I'm missing so much and I want to be present, but then I will keep going back and then I space out even more. True healers there. Rage is like a smoke signal, says Isaac, indicating the state of raging wildfire. You must act quickly and diligently, not to feed the rage, but to find the source, lest it spreads before you can blink. It's dangerous and destructive, but the initial spark is not invalid. I may be from a lack of water or from an act of negligence. The cause is the value of the rage, not the effect. Yeah, as beautifully said, Brother Isaac. Isaac coming back in full swing. It's cool, amazing source of perspective and book for analysis. Thank you for the reference. Thank you, Joe, for reading. My mentor taught me that forgiveness and healing doesn't happen all at once, but in layers. That you might have to do it over and over again until it truly feels you've forgiven and healed. Like the theory that forgiveness is for you is one that has actually resonated with me quite a lot. That when we forgive someone, we don't do it for them, right? It's not like they have wronged you and now you go and let them know that they've wronged you, but you have forgiven them for that. No. Forgiveness should be for yourself, unfortunately. 76% there, 49-12. No synchronicity on my side. Yeah. Forgiveness is for you, right? It's a part of you that lets go. My analogy, my favorite analogy is that someone doing something mean to you, it's hurtful. It's like them handing you a cactus and you grabbing onto it, all right? And you can maybe have grabbed onto it in that moment and it hurts, but then sometimes we squeeze harder and harder and we hold onto it with more and more force. And then we just keep screaming because these thorns, this painful part, this thing that was shared with us keeps hurting because the thorns keeps being gripped by our hands. And when we let go of it, we can go through the process of actually trying to help ourselves. Kind of like finding the source of the problem and then going about getting better, of course. Of course. I was like, oh, there's no synchronicity here. Goes like, oh yeah? You won't bet. You won't bet. My mother taught me that forgiveness. My mentor, I think I've read that one. 90% of the truth. That's a big deal, Mel. You and your dad for coming together, right? I think so as well. I was like, shit. That's that's a pretty high ratio. It's structured spotlight for potential for betterment, albeit a loud distraction and misleading spotlight. Absolutely. Little Big Joe. Yes, Maxine. That's why I love these flower remedies. I'm actually taking my new remedy. I got some things added. It peels the layer of your emotions like an onion. Once one thing is addressed, another is exposed. It's a process, but so worth it. And it takes time. Realize that it is going to take time. The amount of time it is taking you to be as angry as you are right now could be the amount of time it takes you to not be as angry as you are right now. It's like, Mel, I've been learning how to be angry for 20 years of my life. Yeah? Spend 20 years of your life learning how not to be. Right? And then at the end of it, you'll be less angry. Doesn't that sound like a win? That sounds like a win to me. Moral right and wrong, for me, is too binary a system of judgment for action. Living in such a complex world, I see it more like we have sustained in a viscous pool, where every action, no matter how gentle, shifts the very landscape in which we perceive the moment in front of us. We must become more aware of this. Even right things change the state of things. Yes, and what's right in this moment might not be right in the next, right? And you can be doing something you believe is right until you realize, oh, this is not right, this is wrong. And then continuing to do this thing. Now, after having come to the realization that this is wrong, that's wrong, right? Again, wrong from the perspective of gentle change is necessary. I love that, Isaac. Thank you for sharing. You can freeze apples and they're delicious. The first core slices into wedges, but it's really popular this summer if I can get it. I don't know why you would say that, Shell, but that trips me out because I was thinking about apples and apple cores while talking about my dad accepting 90% of me. And I kept feeling like I wanted to share that, and I was like, no, dude, don't share your anger. And then you say something about freezing apples but first core and slice into wedges. So my dad is the type of person, hey Belita, sending you lovin's. My dad's the type of person who at one point in my life used to regularly eat the whole apple, even with the core. Right? And this thing he shared with me, the whole he believes 90% of what I believe is true actually. Right? I was like, you're the type of person who will eat 100% of the apple, even though most people only eat like 90%. Leave that, might even be more, leave that middle part, right? You'll even eat that part of the apple, but you won't eat, metaphorically speaking, my philosophy, right? The thing I'm trying to share. And yeah, thank you, Shell. That's so trippy. Love you, dear friend. With every action, no matter how gentle. I think I've read one. Joel, again, love to you. It's nice having you here for a moment, dude. The statement, Melt, about more love than rage. Do you parse it out into parts, or do you see it more like any being has the capacity to create large amounts of either in any moment? Yes. And I believe in that moment, most people would rather create love like I'm tripping out of the energies being shared in chat right now. Most people would rather choose love over rage, right? Just because it's not sustainable. Rage is not sustainable as an energy to share every single moment, right? So if all of us together had to be combined into the same being, we're still very much capable of that rage. But I think we'd rather choose love. Like love is true as a bias for me, of course. Rather, we are not a thing made of percentages that change over time, but we are a crucible, never empty, always full, but never the same thing that filled. For a man cannot step in the same river twice, because it's not the same river, and he is not the same man. Right, Isaac? Of course, dude. We have made a cookbook. Yes! Yes, more. Okay, frozen goodies. I freeze grapes and blueberries and mango slices. We can eat them frozen, and they're like fruit ice pops. They're a great summer treat. I've eaten blueberries frozen a great deal of times. Not grapes. It's raining. Not grapes, not mango slices, but a great deal of blueberries. I love them so much. I'll like just demolish like 120 grams. No small containers. There's some construction or something happening. It's been making noise all day. Been making noise for the last few days, actually. Never mind, all day. Yo, this experience of the sun setting behind and starting to rain. It's quite something special right now for me. Underneath the roof, my electronics will stay dry. Level? My OCD. Please release me. At least, partially. Almost dropped something. Comments removed for thinking out loud. It's okay, you can do that as well. Someone might have had a moment to read it. Exactly. Melty. Anger wrecks the shit up fast and destroys relationships of every kind. People generally don't like it when you are angry with them, right? Because the way we've survived, hey, love you, Hoopy. The way we've survived, someone being angry at us, our tribe, can feel like an actual thing that threatens our survival. Where in the past, if you were kicked out of your tribe, you dying was a very realistic possibility, right? So yeah, don't treat people with anger. It makes them feel like they're gonna die. They're in danger. If nobody has told you today, I love you, and you are worthy of love, and you are a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, you will overcome these hardships, and you will be rewarded for your efforts. You are worthy of what you want. So what is that you want? Right? What do you believe you are worthy of? It's a beautiful question to ask, Joshua. It's a hard one as well to answer. I believe all of us are worthy of love, right? Want love from this world in your relationships. Want love, because that's the one thing that is the most rare commodity and isn't something that you can actually purchase with money. Cable, I love you. It's nice having you here, dear friend. Can't handle what I want, Joe. Yeah, tell me what I want. You still deserve it. That being said, I imagine very few humans could give you what you really want. I feel if you really want love, most people in at least some capacity would be able to give you that, right? Because love can be just focus and attention, kindness in this moment. You're definitely what I could call shiny, Joy Vive. You're such a blessing to the humans in this world. Smart, beautiful, loud, opinionated, with an abundance of love and smiles. You are valued. There we go. Joe goes straight for the heart and then gently kisses it. I am my own divine fruit ninja, slicing and dicing and rearranging, getting yourself like one of those smorgasbords of fun little things to eat. I woke up feeling grateful for all of you. Joe, you're gonna make my heart melt. Each and every one of you has made an impact on my heart with your love and wisdom. Thank you for taking this chapter of my life, making this chapter of my life a beautiful blessing. So thank you. And you, and even you from the corner, so much love. Joe, you're the one showing up, dude. You're the one making this moment a reality in your life, right? Acknowledge that power, acknowledge that energy in you as well. Frozen apples sound interesting. Also, haven't had it. I eat apple cores, gang, gang. They're full of good stuff. Exactly, dude. Apple seeds are toxic though. They have like just a smidge of cyanide in there or something, right? Or is that cherry pits? Aren't the seeds poisonous? Just a little bit. Jinx melt. We were saying the same thing, of course. Not the seeds. After removing the seeds, the dog, Princess Popper Gypsy, would eat the core of my apples. So beautiful. Poppy Shoo was wondering, so I tested apples, frozen, I'm imagining. And everyone knows Sriracha eats the whole apple every day at lunchtime. Goes for the whole thing. There's nothing wrong with it, right? It was just the perspective, right? Like the, yeah, truth measuring thing. I eat apple divided in 3 parts, going in a circle for each layer, and then eating the third part. The third parts again, the rest that I have left smaller when I eat an apple randomly. So I read every word you said, Melina, but my mind reconstructed it in the way that I do it. Where if you cut an apple in 3 bits, I imagine you taking a small bite out of each one, and then I imagine you taking more of bites, almost like leaving a thin rind of apple next to the skin, and then going for the round of eating the the thin slice of apple with skin. And that's my mind. That's my mind's reconstruction of what I just read, but that's probably incorrect, which is beautiful. All right, that's the way communication works sometimes. Lunchtime. In case anyone needs to know, you would have to eat about 10,000 apple seeds to get any kind of illness from it. So you can eat the seeds without worrying. To be completely honest, I have been eating the seeds completely without worrying. But yeah, you don't want to eat 10,000 of them. That would be less than ideal. You look nice today, Melty. Did you get pretty for your grandma? Grandma's not here. Grandma actually came through because she was going to a hospital and she didn't want to drive herself. So she came to my mom's and my mom drove her. And then she's there with her, I believe. So no, just the next outfit in the rotation. Thank you for finding me pretty though. It's very nice of you. Mm, 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 mm. In the host, it's disrespect. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you mean. Shell, that is a valid bit of info. Thank you. Now I don't have to worry about missing a seed and falling over. Yeah, it's like even cherry pits. Even though cherry pits do have cyanide in them, if you swallow a cherry pit, the outside rind of it is so thick that your body isn't actually going to dissolve that rind and get the cyanide in your system. You'll probably just pass it. I'm not encouraging you to eat cherry pits, but if you did, you're not gonna die, fortunately, unless you basically mangled your teeth trying to break it up open and then try to swallow it. Then you can have some of its effects. Oh, let's talk about play fighting. Play fighting, professional wrestling, any kind of play fighting. They love each other. They can tell when you see it live. Yeah, weird that you're talking about that. There's a new show called Sanctuary on Netflix, a Japanese show about sumo wrestling. And they take it pretty seriously, right? But there is a certain play fighting element to it. It's kind of interesting. Shell, it feels like you're reading my mind today. The roles are reversed. I hate you, Melt. I love you, Cable. I'm seeing. Okay, so it was first like a little shape like that from above, completely red. And I was like, what's that? And then it moved down. And then I saw that shape was what looked like on a box. And then I was like, what's that? And then I moved down more. And then I saw this box had these little truck wheels. And it was a truck on a road going somewhere. You going somewhere, Cable? Sending you lovin's, dude. Are you going somewhere with a whole truckload of things? What's happening, dude? Mm-mm. Got the rage. Oh, the rage. He's living into the rage. I'm seeing it. Pleasure to hate you. Keep the rhyme going, Mel. I don't know if I do it on purpose sometimes. It's just how it flows. How much does Dad think he has correct? He believes he has the truth, the unequivocal, God proven truth, right? And I don't, because I don't have his truth. Shell, you can even see it in martial arts and UFC fights. True fighters end up loving each other exactly, right? There's a certain level of respect that you can have for your opponent. If you knock them down, being willing to pick them up after the fight is over is beautiful. Been driving but listening. Love the topic. Love you, Luke. I'm happy to have you here tuning in today. Very similar. The first round is all skin. The second round is all without the skin. And the bottom horizontal layer is my favorite. Ah, okay. I kind of see it. That's so cool. Anyone else eat strawberries with the green leafy tops? When I'm kind of like in I don't care mode, yes. Like there's a certain level that I reach where I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna struggle with trying to take the little green bit off with my fingernails. I'm just gonna eat the whole strawberry because you're tasting mostly strawberry, right? That's the thing for me. All the seeds have several anti-nutrients since the plant wants to keep living. Ah, yeah, some toxins even. Never thought of eating the green part of a strawberry. I mean, it is edible technically. Your body won't just spontaneously combust. I ate a whole bunch of cherry pits one day, and then a week later had an appendectomy. Not sure there was any correspondence, but I was terrified as a 10-year-old being told if we waited for the surgery, it would have been fatal. It would be fatal. If we waited for the surgery, it would be fatal. Goodness. Oh my goodness. That's kind of insane, Siobhan. I can't even imagine the amount of stress you must have been under. Hey Google, can you define an appendectomy? An appendectomy, also termed an appendicectomy, is a surgical operation from which the vermiform appendix is removed. Ah, I think I've also had the same surgery. Yeah, I still have the scar. It's like sorry for showing you my tummy. There it is. That little dude. It's barely visible. But I didn't eat any cherry pits. I just one morning woke up in severe pain. I was like, something is wrong. My body is telling me that something's wrong here. I cannot move. Also had it removed. And you know what my biggest thing was at that point? I so desperately wanted a PlayStation 3. I was like, I imagined my life would be so much better if I actually had a PlayStation 3. And my dad was like, I'm not buying you a PlayStation. And I go for the surgery and I ask my family, you know, how much is gonna cost to have my appendix removed? And they tell me it's gonna cost like 50,000 rand, which is like 3,300 bucks. And in my mind, I go through the math of thinking to myself, damn, that's like 10 PlayStation 3s, right? I can get like 10 PlayStation 3s if I can just not get a surgery right now. Oh, goodness. Made me angry. Made me angry that I was having my self-help. Addressing my anger is what helped me realize I needed to discover love for myself. It's like a state of being, right? If you're ceaselessly in the state of being of anger, it is exponentially harder to see the state of love. But then realizing the amount of depth you have in anger can teach you about the amount of depth you can have in love. Finding it for ourselves is really where we actually do most of the work. I'm proud of you, Luke. Thank you for doing the work, dude. Continue to. Yikes, glad everything went well, Jobo. All parents think they have the truth. Yeah, they have to. The ego convinces them that that's the only thing that they need to do. It's good, Mel. There's vitamins and minerals in those leaves too, of course. Thanks, Mel. And me too can have a little neat battle scar. It's true. I've got a battle scar. Battle scars, battle scars. Do you guys remember the scene from The Fountain when the tree grows from Hugh Jackson's belly? Yeah, after he eats the thing. Is that how it worked? That movie is like so melted into my brain. I've watched it twice now. I watched it recently, like I think this year even. It's so absurd though. It's so absurd. How do we know if we have your appendix or not? Well, if they put you under and took it out of your body, you probably don't have it. But so I've actually unironically thought about this as well, Genevieve, where I imagined that they just cut me open and then sewed me back shut. And they were like, "Oh wait, thank you, give us the money." How would I know, right? How would I know? I would like to believe at least. My internal organs were sore as well. Well, maybe that was just because they cut through muscle tissue. Don't stop it. Stop the conspiracy theories in my brain. Scars. Mine's more visible. I woke up in pain the day my family went on vacation. Yeah, they left. Dad took me to the doctor, and the fam found out when they were states away. That's so brutal. I'm happy that we had access to this technology at least. I could get 10 PS3s, but I won't survive to see them. Classic human conundrum. Yeah, exactly. And then we're angry. We're like, he drank the sap from the tree. Oh, he drank the sap from the tree. Yeah, after it was like gooing out, trying to eat the bark as he was going through. For some reason, my mind was like going for the bark first, like thinking the bark was growing inside of him. It's slowly dying. Yeah, it's a trip. Jen, the one of my on repeat movies, and Annihilation. You watch The Fountain on repeat? It feels like it's a fever dream. The Fountain. The Fountain trips me out. It kind of like takes you on this narrative, on this train of the decisions you make, right? The choices you've made. And now the choices you've made can extend so far beyond just this life. Talking about anger, right? That you might have a generational anger in your body. That the anger you might be feeling isn't even just yours, but all of your ancestors as well, for one. Or it could be all of your previous life lived, all of your previous, experiences of why you're supposed to be angry. And then again, the other side of the perspective is you can either focus on the amount of perspective, the amount of reason you have to be angry, or the amount of reason you have to love. Because there's evidence for both. What are you barking at, dogs? What are you barking at? There's nothing. Eva? Eva. Alsjeblieft. Er is stuff in my ears. Love. Love, love, love. Love, love, more love. If Mel didn't mangle my comments, would I still be love? Because I feel so seen somehow when he does mangle them. I don't know, Trevi. For some reason, there is this level of how do you not know if you have your appendix or not? That's what you actually said. But clearly, I was supposed to read what I read so that I could go through that conspiracy theory of how do I actually know if my appendix is inside my body. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, JB. One day I'll have perfect, recall and ability to read, to understand, maybe. I'll still have to share from my perspective, but it'll maybe be a little bit more clear of the irony of mangling comments, melting them into oblivion. So much love, 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 love. Of course, love The Fountain. Never seen Annihilation though. Annihilation, I believe, is that movie where this team goes through a veil, to try and find the team that was lost before, and then the stuff they see in there. Hey, Google. Show me the movie Annihilation. Lena, a biologist and former soldier, joins a mission to uncover what happened to her husband, who was a part of the previous team, in Area X, a sinister and mysterious phenomenon that is expanding across the American coastline. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but it's eerie. It's kind of like unsettling, but yeah, very, very beautifully so in a way. The first time I watched The Fountain, I was in a fever daze, so I was quite an exquisite experience watching and having the movie go through me. Kind of like being as open as you needed to be to see that experience. It came out in 2018. How good can it be? There is that part of us that like judges movies on their age these days, where we're like, oh wow, this movie is 5 years old. I don't want to see it. It doesn't have 2023 next to it. Guess it's not worth my time. I saw the movie as it's taking centuries for his soul to accept death. Yeah, shit. I'm now more of the movie is coming back to me. It's pretty brain melting. It's real good. I love Annihilation. It took it in shell, the language with the signs. And Annihilation is also fascinating. They went into a lot of stuff. For me, the most fascinating part was the energy being expressed, because I imagine these trees, right, having a certain energy that they're expressing, but then there were like plants growing into the shape of human beings, right? Plants trying to express the person archetype. Bye all, off to Breakers with a friend. Hasta pronto. Love you, dear friend. Thank you for joining us for as long as you did, Nancy. We'll see you again soon. I'm looking for my sandals. I'm gonna turn this light on, and we're gonna pull a card. Maybe we're gonna play a little bit kalimba. There seems to be rain coming. It's been raining night after night after night for a while now. It's almost odd. Usually in May, it's already kind of cold. Oh, the power is off. How about that? We have no electricities. That's fine, I guess. Ugh. Love you, Nancy, again. We'll see you again soon, dear friend. And Oscar Isaac is compelling enough for all of us to be willing to enter the veil. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be. I would be like, every single team that went into that place didn't come out and was never heard of again. How about nah? How would nah? But then again, if I was actually in that situation, realizing that such a decision could be the difference between our world collapsing or not, then is there a choice? Is there really a choice? 2 days in a row of kalimba. Happy Shan. You're easy to please, Shan. I mean, the kalimba is a way of expression, right? I'm taking a liking to it again. I feel like it is something that's important. It's like a way of speaking that I don't give enough attention to, right? So I want to. All of us can be easier to please when we find more contentment in things. So zen. So zen 5000 right now. Ooh, there's lightning happening. This card is the one. You wanna guess colors? This card is the card I associate most with Christian, actually. Christian once had this experience where he was at a Psytrance festival that was next to a beach. And then he booked himself a outing where he went on a boat into the sea, and then they went scuba or snorkeling. I think snorkeling maybe. And then while he was snorkeling, he found, or they found, like a pack of something like 15, 13, let's say 13 dolphins. And he felt, because he was at that point, tuned into the informational grid of LSD, it felt like they knew him, right? Like they knew what he was. They understood the significance of these two beings being in the same medium. There was a communication happening. And then, you know, I pulled this card thinking about the dude. It became pretty much him for me. Hey, Kristen is here too. It's nice seeing you. Did you do something so it sounds less creepy? I just have better audio equipment right now, Choivi. That's pretty much it. Like we unfortunately lost our RPAN, which I felt RPAN had a different energy to it. Like RPAN had a less baggage, I feel, for some reason, to what you're allowed to stream and what you're not allowed to stream. It's kind of odd, but yeah, it is a thing. The dolphin Merkaba. One more time. Look at them dolphins, making them ships. Go be shy, it's not difficult. So please, just give me a kitty or dangle something shiny in front of me. Yes, doesn't that sound nice? Little kitty, little something shiny. That's why I make the flowers, after all. I miss RPAN, me too, actively. But it's important that we're still here. We're still showing up, right? Just because RPAN is dead doesn't mean the community we had there is. And that's why we have to show up. Oh, give me chills when I saw that card. Fantastic. It's important we're still here. I'm so happy to hear that, Alita. It's a lot easier to type on RPAN. I could use my keyboard. I could tag people in comments, links. I love RPAN. Well, we're coming into potentially having a different cooperation, all right, helping us with streaming. We'll see if it actually turns out as something. Joy. That's the other part of this trip. Right? And we were talking about anger today. I feel joy very much is a good counter to anger as well. Because we can be angry in this moment about RPAN no longer being a thing. Or we can be joyous that it used to be. That we found one another because of that experience, ultimately. Joy and cooperation. Cooperation, yes. The geometry of this card results from the interpenetration of two tetrahedrons, forming a beautiful configuration called the star tetrahedron, or a Merkaba. The Merkaba is believed to be a vehicle of dynamic balance, expanded awareness, and multi-dimensional travel. This image was inspired by witnessing wild dolphins form amazing geometry. These beautiful beings exude the vibration of joy, cooperative play, there it is, Shell, and some believe they hold the key to interdimensional travel. Seeing dolphins play with these geometries helps us to understand the universality of the messages. Choosing this card asks you to connect with the joy that resides within you. We occasionally forget our joy factor. One message of the dolphins is that joy and laughter are always available, and that through cooperation, we can share the joy of living. Visualize yourself as playing in the dolphin Merkaba and deeply experiencing pure joy. How can you better express your joy? How can you bring more laughter into your everyday life and share the way it feels? Joy is infectious. Become its expression. This book will obviously not have any cards that just go straight rage. So I feel if there was anything that would have been synchronous, it would have been joy. Joy and cooperation. Yeah, get seen. Get seen, joy. Maybe forgiveness, right? In your perspective, maybe forgiveness isn't the answer to our rage. Maybe countering it with joy, with play, with cooperation, right? Cooperating to make sure that the anger doesn't continue happening, instead of just pure forgiveness, because pure forgiveness can leave things accepted that doesn't want to be accepted, right? I love our pan for everything that it did. It's the seed of all of our friendships. And I was gentle with us. It was gentle with us in the end. Every relationship has an end built into it. Yet our human friendships endure and change. Sometimes people disappear, then exquisitely reappear, extra beautiful. So our own desire to grow became reality as we intertwined our lives through chats. Amazing and so beautiful. We're the desired outcome of the human intention that made it and took it away. Thank you so much for sharing so beautifully, Shell. I'm gonna play some kalimba for us for a moment. Chaperoning and Meow Wolf for my son's class. Hope to keep my anger in check and not lose any kids. You're gonna do fine, Luke. With this in mind, right, you can be extra vigilant. Be like, I can be angry, so I'd rather not be. Let's not be angry. If I'm gonna be anything, angry is the thing I don't want to be. I'm gonna start a timer for 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Suddenly, energy. Shit. That scared me for a second. Ah, the door just slammed close. Okay, chaperoning. Again, love to you, friends. Let me start this timer up. Play some kalimba. I hope it's clear. thank you, Joe. Thank you for your compliments. It makes me happy to think that I'm getting better at it. It really isn't something that I think I can say that I know what I'm doing. I'm just doing, finding myself in a moment where I'm like, maybe this, maybe I should do that, maybe I should make this sound. Maybe my finger. Last night before I went to bed, I went back to yesterday's stream to listen to it when you played the kalimba. Thank you for playing it, Mal. I sincerely appreciate it more than you know. And I'm planning on making standalone videos as well. Shell has summoned that fractal in me, so it is being considered. I'm just thinking about complexity, right? Maybe add some complexity in the beginning, open it with an intention, something to think about, a reminder, whatever. And then playing the kalimba for a period of time. An unspecified period of time, probably 11 minutes and 11 seconds or something. You know, go a little bit deeper with it. And maybe I'll have like an extra boosted line for the birds or something. You know, it can be tranquil. Your friends ceaselessly inspire me. Reminds me of my grandma's music box collection from when I was very little. Yes. I've never actually made that connection that it does sound like a music box having its little tines pulled. I love that. Only I'm the one rolling. I'm the one with the bumps. I'm gonna stop. So much love puts my heart in a happy memory every time. Dude, I'm so happy to be able to share these moments with you friends. Thank you so much for joining me again. The rain is surely coming. You can probably start hearing it. Love is true. I appreciate you friends for joining me in these moments. I'm not crying, you're crying. I'm feeling the influx of emotion with the Joe. There's nothing wrong with it. You're always overthinking things. You can start with the rain kalimba vid and get it up as a short. Yeah, Joy, I could do that. I just don't want to. I really do see help coming, right? And I had this weird thought where on one part, I'm willing to wait for AI to get good enough to be able to auto scrub my videos, find information that would be valuable to be shared in a short form content form, and then auto edit that video, auto frame it, upload it with a valid title, with the captions necessary to the platform that it needs to be uploaded to. Because that technology is coming, right? It's not far away. Right now, I can't afford employees, unfortunately. But the way that, large scale content creators do it is having employees go through that whole process. So it's this weird trip of uh, patience, right? Patience, and then feeling also at the same time that there is a part of me that feels bad, knowing that that's going to be potentially taking a lot of work away from people. And on the other side, if someone was willing to do that without any compensation in mind, I feel compensation can be a result of it nonetheless as a consequence of having something like that done, right? But yeah, I'm not a particularly worried person, at least for the most part. I'm not too worried about whether or not there will be reach, right? I'm planning on doing this for the rest of my life, for actually ever, right? So I have all the time in the world. I have all the time I'm gonna have in the world, right? And I'm okay with things being a little bit more slow. In fact, I actually appreciate it that way. I honestly believe, I do believe, Sharif, if I've been on it, right, the way the world, the way the social media scene wants me to be on it, and I've been making shorts out of each of these streams, and I've been posting them to Twitter, Instagram, making reels there, posting my flowers sporadically, like one out of the sequence of a week, posting it to my Instagram, and doing my TikTok, and there will probably be significantly more people in the streams. 100%. I do not doubt that. But that's not what it's about for me. Right? Sure, I could reach more people that way. But also, I if it becomes like that for me, where it becomes almost like a compulsive, obsessive, uh, deadlined job, right? Then I feel I'll be taking away from the purity of what the space holds. Like the fact that what I'm doing here with you friends, technically, is sitting down and having a conversation about the things that bother us, the things that help us, the things that make us feel loved, right? And from that perspective, we can weigh in ourselves and seeing it weighed in everyone else what makes us feel more loved, right? Where love is true in this whole equation. And then we try to consciously evolve with that in mind, get better and better at loving. And I feel like I would not be loving myself, at least the passenger side of myself, the animal side of myself, if I forced it into multiple hours of editing every single day. I just do not have the bandwidth right now, I guess. Like even making like the shorter videos, like it's not like I feel like I'm having first world problems right now. My mind is like, you need to stop complaining right now. It's no work whatsoever, but it is work. It is work. It's like leg work, and then not having electricity for multiple hours in a day makes it very hard to actually trust that you'll be able to render something. Would be so beautiful. Mel, thinking the rain kalimba combo is like listening to the waves of a beach or hearing the wind through the pine trees. It's a natural sound and it sits in the same place in my heart. Maybe I could even like have like a rain soundtrack that I could add to the kalimba as well if I need to. Inspiration, River Boy, the Cult of the Lamb musician, uses sounds of nature that he records from outside to make his music. So flippin' cool. Have the most beautifulest day. I wholeheartedly love you all so super hugely, massively, dearly. Melton, all of you. Oh, so preciously lovely friends. Love you. You think AI will be smart enough to pick out the gold in your streams? I don't even think it would be smart enough. I already know that it is, Joy. I've already experimented with ChatGPT where I extract the entire script from my stream and then I run that whole script through the ChatGPT, asking it to highlight key points that it feels would be significant or valuable information to someone listening. And then it will literally give me the timestamps for when I said the thing that it thinks is valuable, just with ChatGPT as a rough tool right now. So it might not be perfect, and I feel a human being would be exponentially better at it. That's always going to be the case, you know, especially someone who can see value in whatever it is we're doing here. But yeah, thank you, dear friends, for joining me. I get so annoyed as you mentioned the word TikTok. Exactly, me too. That's why I'm not trying. I get irritated. It inspires rage in me. It inspires actual rage in me just thinking about TikTok. And then I realize what you're talking about. Please don't do them ever. Yeah. Yeah. It's again a reach thing, right? But there's this short term no relationship building happening in that kind of relationship or in that type of medium. Woohoo! Rain, darkness, and kalimba. Amazing. So much love. Chat GPT is creepy. It is all of humanity, Joshua, as a mirror staring back at you. Khan of Khan Academy says, "Hey, I will give private higher education to everyone." I saw that video as well. And you can do it with ChatGPT as a tool already, right? If you had to give me ChatGPT as a 6-year old, and you taught me how to read, or you asked the robot model to teach me how to read, and I had to try and read all of that. Maybe at that age I wouldn't be interested enough. But if I had just ChatGPT as my teacher, for example, and as time progressed, it probably got better as well as it's going to with us, I would have been exponentially more informed than I am having gone to primary school and high school. And that's the thing, that's what AI can do for us. It can educate us. You can see into parts of yourself. Nah, Connor, relax, dude. If Skynet is anything, Skynet is you. Thank you, dear friends, for joining me. Woo! Right, man. I'll see you again soon. Tomorrow. I appreciate you, friends, joining me for the stream. It is always an eternal blessing. Eternal blessings to you too. Sending you all of the magic. My sun is gone. There's heavy clouds above my head. Darkmoor. It's raining on the ground. Go and make the most of your day. You have the light with you now. It's nice having you friends here. Sending you love. Suddenly more light. How about that? If we're supposed to be changing the world, then there needs to be the reach to 10 of us where we aren't going on our own. I have no love for social media, but that's how you get reach. I know, Joyvi. I'm just very patient, and I know the finances to eventually, like, this is the juxtaposition, right? There needs to be growth for me to have the finances in order to do these things, right? But there is no help to grow the way that the finances will come. And that is going to be the situation for a while until I actually have the means to do it the right way. But the joke is these tools are probably going to have to come first. At least initially. You can't see the full moon, can you? Nope. I can see the light it's casting through the clouds, but it is beautifully hidden. You want to see the clouds? That's where the moon is probably right now. Will do, shall. Love you, friends, so much. Thank you for joining me, for sharing these moments. It was nice having you here. I'll see you again soon. Tomorrow. There's gonna be a tomorrow, and then a tomorrow, and then a tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. I'm tripping out sometimes by the idea that I can die, all right? And then I'm gonna be like, see you tomorrow, and then I die, and then I've lied, and then I'm gonna have to be a ghost and haunt you, friends, forever. I'm sorry. I'll haunt you lovingly. I'll just like, I'll like brush your hair or something. It's like, that's so weird, Mel. Please don't brush my hair as a ghost. What am I? How do you love someone as a ghost? I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. 77 degrees and sunny now. Gang, gang. Love you, friends. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Tomorrow.